Mic check. Hey, this is a mic check. Do I need to fiddle with my gain here? How's my gain? Good job. Good microphone. I'd like to start out by thanking the hardest working mythical creature in all of YouTube land, the Yeti microphone. It really is the best of all digital recording microphones, and obviously the flag of Sasquatch flies above head as predicted. So, what is it you are listening to? I try to tell people that I'm a transhumanist philosopher, and for some reason they find this funny. They either find it irritatingly funny, or they find it religiously funny in a way that causes problems, even. I was in a philosophy class one time, and I tried to explain that that's what was going on, that was the situation, and people started speaking in tongues. And this was a Christian institution, technically, but it was not a charismatic institution. It was actually more of a traditional-based institution of learning. And somehow the exploration of ideas that are pertinent to the transhumanist community in a philosophy class somehow caused the populace there, which, by the way, was an all-male environment. I was the only female. I've noticed this phenomenon. It just seems to occur in all-male environments. Some of them gain telepathy. Some of them seem to want to convince you that they have gained telepathy. Maybe this is just a West Coast thing. I don't know. But in any case, they seem to want to convince you that they have gained telepathy when you are in an all-male environment. And this is so that others in their vicinity who do have telepathy will suddenly start experiencing this phenomenon. It's a weird thing to do. It's a really weird thing to do if you are not actually into charismatic medicine shows. If you claim to be fundamentally against the televangelist style charismatic medicine show, then you probably shouldn't be engaging in this activity, one would think. But they do it more or less for giggles. And then when they actually get the phenomenon they're looking for, they're very surprised. And they thought it was a joke. They thought it was a joke to start with, and then they decide you're actually the devil. No, I said I'm a transhumanist philosopher. I accept that your view of the world includes a devil, and you need someone to blame for things. No, you're the devil. Well, isn't the devil actually just whomever or whatever you are blaming for your problem? Usually. Isn't that actually what the devil is in any religion, in any philosophical context? The devil is that thing which is blamed. And in some religions, it's all women. In a lot of religions, actually, the evils of the world have been attributed to women. This is not news. We're not surprised by this information anymore. It's blasé thing to say, and you can sit there and you can point out all of the various ways and the reasons why this is, and obviously it's to do partially with literacy. They don't want women to have power, so they certainly do not want them to be literate. If you know what's going on, then you can say something about it. And if you can say something about it, why something might change. If you don't know anything about it, then reasons the male. They can't talk. And if they can't talk, then they can't change anything. And then we'll have control. Because that's what men are actually interested in here. They're interested in power and control. And they've defined maleness this way. And it's not really useful anymore, because at the same time they're demanding that we somehow provide to ourselves rather than being provided to by the male. This is not functional. Have you noticed? It's really just not functional. We can't have it both ways. You can't have patriarchy and failure to provide to a large group of women if you want to be seen as a powerful and important male. Patriarchy and monogamy do not mix. We're going to have to get rid of one or the other, and I'm saying, since we cannot possibly expect to get rid of patriarchy in the United States, it's a component of way too many cultures that are represented here. I'm saying let's get rid of monogamy. How about that? How about if we got rid of monogamy and made it perfectly legal and legitimate to marry more than one woman, and to take unto yourself more than one wife? Mightn't that resolve the problem? And then there wouldn't be an excess of wives and too few husbands, which seems to be the current situation. In America today, there are too many wives, not enough husbands. So, that being the case, we need to remove the limitation on how many wives each husband shall take unto itself for the sake of wives. Obviously, the male is going to benefit from this as well in ways that I will leave up to the imagination rather than being explicit about. There might be children listening. This is a kid-friendly show, hadn't you noticed? There might be children listening, so we have to protect their young, delicate ears from this type of discourse. It's required. Yes, it is indeed required. The United States has some funny rules. We can't talk about these sorts of topics, but at the same time we can use the thing in question that must not be spoken to sell every product under the sun. I mean, it makes sense if they're trying to sell you a swimsuit. If they're trying to sell you a swimsuit, then using Hooters to do it with makes perfectly good sense. Trying to sell you a hamburger, however, trying to sell you a hamburger at a late night burger joint using, well, that's trademarked. I can't say it because it's trademarked. Using the aforementioned endowments that female types often have to sell you everything from cars to appliances, while at the same time this topic may and must not be discussed. It certainly shouldn't be discussed at all in front of small children. This is wrong. You have to accept this is a wrong thing to do. But we can have it on daytime television. At the same time, we're going to put it on daytime television. We're going to put it up on billboards. We're going to put it in the music. We're going to put it in things that they're likely to absorb and repeat because it's got pattern. It's got a pattern to it. And so because of the way the human brain works, upon pattern recognition, they are going to absorb this and repeat it. And, you know, we're not just talking about the cutesy stuff. We're not talking about, oh, it's romantic. Oh, the whole story is about them ultimately choosing either to marry or not marry, which is the basic difference between comedy and tragedy. It's humorous if they decide to tie the knot. It is tragic if somebody decides somebody needs to die over this situation. That is the basic difference between comedy and tragedy. Thank you, Shakespeare. Let me take a moment to thank Shakespeare for all that he has done for humanity. If it wasn't for Shakespeare, I wouldn't be here. You probably wouldn't be here. Most people who are alive on planet Earth today probably would not be here if it wasn't for Shakespeare. That's all the time I have for you today, listeners. I promised I would keep these things short enough that people were likely to actually listen to them and listen to them all the way through. And so this completes the first installment in